Hmm. Okay, everyone. My apologies for that. I'm not sure why, but we had some kind of connection problem. But yeah, we're gonna wait for a few people to rejoin this link. I don't know if YouTube is acting janky right now, or what that's about. So let's give it a sec to even out. Okay. Hmm. Okay. All right, just confirming. Can anyone hear me now? See if that fixed the problem. Let's see. Okay, everyone can hear me? Well, that was extremely inconvenient. So if y'all see me typing this because I'm having to redistribute the links because everyone's going to be going to the old link where it's not working now. Whatever. Technology has its flaws. But yeah, we were basically going up to what information do y'all feel like really needs to be covered in the advanced Ubereats course. Now, a few of y'all did have some suggestions, but then the whole losing connection happened for whatever reason. I don't know why, but what are you gonna do? Like they're doing everything within their power to increase tips, and it's not working. The thing with tips is that I have a section on tips in the advanced Ubereats course, but I will tell you right now, you got to be familiar with your city. There are certain areas of your city that they are just better tippers. You can do everything in your power, and some people that is not going to tip. These are people that usually aren't appreciatory of the service to begin with. So if you're noticing that there's a area in your city where no one tips, you might want to take that in consideration. Now, if you're still making good money, cool. Like a lot of times, no one's tipping in that zone. Uber Eats will put like a 2.0 boost zone around this city that's not tipping. Now, if that's the case, you probably don't need the tip. But in other areas, let's say the boost zone is lower or there isn't a boost zone, shoot, you could probably most likely people in those areas that they're tipping. So you want to keep in mind where the people in your city are tipping. And also, do you really need the tip? I personally, as long as I'm staying within that range, I don't care about a tip. But if I'm dropping below it, that's when these people need the tip or it's time to bounce. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, numbers are low, probably because people, I don't think they know that we went into this next live stream. So everyone in here, if you could share the link, it'd be greatly appreciated. So what's the deal with Uber Eats offering deliveries for 10 to 15 minutes away and not offering orders from a restaurant you're next to? Oni Crow. That has to do with the Uber Eats algorithm. Think of it like a reverse sonar wave. It starts outwardly, then starts coming inwardly in terms of picking drivers for a restaurant. And if it gets no one, it goes back outwardly, except for the circumference is even bigger than before. The reason being is on the customer app, it's guaranteed within a certain time frame. So the algorithm is trying to pull someone at the exact time it's going to hit that time frame. So I might be a mile away, you might be 3 miles away. It's guaranteed in 50 minutes. If the person stays close or far based on where the person is, the algorithm is going to pull one of us that's going to hit that time guarantee sooner or hit it right within the range because they don't want you getting there too soon too because they see it as, well, we're taking the driver off the road unnecessarily when we could have brought this one that's 3 miles away and delivering it. That's how the algorithm thinks. So at the end of the day, always just, if it's 10 or 15 minutes away, depending on the restaurant, I'll decline it. Minutes away, I'm more concerned with the mileage and less concerned with the minutes away. Like something, if you're next to highways, 10 to 15 minutes away, that might be 6 miles away. You can forget that. But if it's actually maybe 2.5 miles away, but it's saying 10 or 15 minutes away, I can deal with that. So be a little more concerned about how far it is miles away versus minutes away. But that's why you get those requests 10 or 15 minutes away. You want to make sure you profile these restaurants, because some restaurants, like if you accept the order that's like 15 and 10 minutes away, that order can actually go pretty far. But there are other restaurants, they can't go that far based on that time guarantee. So if you take it and they go around the corner, you got to kind of be aware of, I would still want to value my time. I'd rather wait for an order under 9 minutes. Hey, that's respectable. I mean, it all comes down to what strategy you want to use. And then that's going to be covered in the Ubereats advanced course. Because there's a strategy for short trips and there's a strategy for long trips. It sounds like what you're doing is more towards maybe the short and medium trips, and that's cool too. They both accomplish the objective of keeping you between that $11 and $18 range. Some people do say they don't understand why the algorithm is set up that way. Me personally, I kind of like it because it's very predictable. Like when I take an order that's a certain distance away, I kind of have an idea how far it's going to go. Right on, I just want to be paid for as much driving as possible. And that's respectable. I know they said we pay for wait time now and all that's included, but let's be honest. If you don't see an increase in your earnings from what it was, I don't consider that relevant. As far as I'm concerned, they're not paying for wait time. Like, if the pickup and drop off fee and the distance rate, if that stayed the same and they did this wait time thing, I would say that that's a plus. But you can't lower those and say, okay, well, we pay for wait time, and like you're doing us a favor, you're not, because the earnings aren't that much different. In some cases, it's lower. So if you have your hotspots memorized, you can get, especially during certain times of the day, like orders are pinging you from other sides of the city, hit that magic decline button. I know Uber will start talking crap, talking about, do you want to stay online? Just ignore that. Oh, man, me and my friend consider that annoying. You get a few orders, and it's like 17 minutes away. You decline 3 in a row, and it's talking about it logs you offline, saying, do you want to stay online? Man, get out of here with that. Man, I'm still trying to figure out what happened with that live stream earlier, but whatever. So anyone in here, who was the person that asked about the tips? Because they had a question. I didn't get a chance to look at it all, though. Someone asked a question specifically regarding, like, how can you increase your tips? Or is that person in here? Not sure. But it's like I said before, just make sure that you kind of profile the areas of your city. Some areas of your city, they're not going to tip. I don't know why. But those areas, there has to be something to entice you as a driver to go out there. Keep in mind of how much money you're making in the sections of your city. Oh, you're not here? Okay. I mean, YouTube isn't the most intuitive software anymore. They make things overcomplicated on both ends. So I guess it is what it is. But yeah, keep in mind of the sections in your city, how much money you're making. I would literally get paper or cell phone and just have a mental note. Just like in the current Ubereats course, I told you to divide it up in quadrants. You need to have take that a step further and like hang out in a part of your city for, let's say, the whole day, and keep note of how much money you're making. What is the income range? And then compare the quadrants, and the quadrant that has the highest amount, maybe that should be your favorite spot. And the place that has the least amount, you need to measure things that are there. A place you maybe ain't making less money in a certain area, but you don't have to deal with things like apartment houses and 10-story buildings and stuff. I don't see that as bad. If it's just a house area, that's fine. But if you're having to deal with everything I just said and you're not making that much money, I would X that quadrant off the map. See, this is where like beginners and even some intermediates will hang around in that area. If they get an order there, they will just stay there. Like, oh well, I got an order in this area of the city. I'll just stay here and hang out and do deliveries here. Mm-hmm. When you've identified an area there's no bueno, you get the hell out of there and go back to a popping place. So, is there any information regarding these new changes that Ubereats did like last month? Did y'all want to see addressed in the Ubereats course? Let's see. Man, that live stream thing really hurt us. Yeah, we might have to cut the Q&A to maybe about 30 minutes. Oh, what's up, Donald? Yeah, sorry if it was harder for you to find a link. Like that connection problem has never happened before. But Donald, you had asked a question about tips, and I didn't get a chance to read the full question. Could you ask it again? Then I'll answer it. While we're waiting on that, Neo, I remember in your market, you mentioned how like earnings had kind of gone down. Is that still the case, or have you managed to pick it back up to between that $11 and $18 an hour? For every drive, I start the delivery with. Okay, I'm assuming the next part is coming. Maybe it's me. When I try to communicate with the customer while at the restaurant, I can't seem to communicate. Well, you won't get the customer's info until you start the trip. And you don't want to start the trip while you're waiting on the food, because it makes it seem like you're there just waiting, and they're like, well, why the heck aren't you moving on the map? Because you got to remember, when you start the trip on their screen, it shows that little car icon, and it's saying 15 minutes away, and it's showing you approaching. So if you're just sitting there, they're thinking, what the heck is wrong with this guy? This guy on the phone with a friend, his friend is kicking it. Is he getting gas? They get impatient. And if that's the case, then they're going to be like, well, this guy's not going to get a tip, or they're going to get a thumbs down, et cetera. Your Eats driver is on the way with your order. Thanks for your business, by the way. The service fee does not include gratitude, but you can optionally tip drivers via the app when you rate and tip the driver. Oni Crow, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I wouldn't do that, because tips, the history of tipping, people feel like you deserve an extra something for going an extra mile, but when you ask for it, it has the opposite effect. It's like, well, tips are an implied thing. Like, man, you handled it so well, I just feel kind of obliged to tip you. Or I just feel kind of obliged to tip you just for the sake that, yeah, I know you're going to make more money if I tip. But when you ask for it, people can get offended. It's very off-putting. Anytime you ask for something, this is very similar to sales. And when you ask for something like that, it has a negative effect. So I wouldn't do that. Like, the standard message I send, I say any information that I need. I'll say, hi, my name is Elijah. I'm your Ubereats driver. I see you're in an apartment. Can you send me the name of your apartment and the gate code if there is one? And I'll receive that information. I'll get there as quick as possible. Then when the door opens up, I say their name. I might say a small joke like, hey, it's chow time. I hope you're ready to eat. Give a big fat smile. And if they're wearing like some shirt that I recognize, I'll say that's a cool shirt or something. Give them the food and go about my business. And that's the strategy I use. And you can check it out in the Ubereats course part 6. But I've shown you, like on the average, generally how much I'm making tips per week. I don't start the trip till I have the food. Okay. When to communicate with the customer about the restaurant. So, Neo, are you saying what you think it'd be better if you could communicate with the customer from the jump, like even before you start the trip? Let's see. Meeting in the car, reading to drive, then start a trip. That's why I sort of designed it to sound like it's a Uber-generated message, since Uber themselves sort of discourage tipping in their policy. That's true, but Omnicrow, you got to remember that most likely this isn't the first time they're using Ubereats. They've had several drivers bring them food, and you'll be the first driver that's basically asking them to tip. So they'll know it's not an Uber automated thing. So with that being in place, it's going to kind of be like, oh man, this dude, like all the other drivers aren't asking for a tip, even though I tipped them, they're not asking. It makes you kind of seem like, it has the opposite effect. That's why I don't recommend it. Plus, like the way Uber Eats works, they don't send the Uber notification. It has like the Uber Eats symbol next to it, so they know it's a notification and not a message. Meanwhile, the message on there, and it looks like the same as what we kind of see on our end when we're messaging. So, like, they'll know it's not an Uber, notification. I will say this: has anyone encountered this situation where you could tell it's the first timer, and they ask, "Okay, I'm sorry. Is there anything else I need to do?" In that situation, you can take it upon yourself as a driver to educate the customer. I say everything is handled electronically. After I finish this trip, the app is going to ask if you want to rate me. And when you rate me, you'll have the option to tip if you want to. And a lot of people, they don't know that process. So take a few minutes to educate them on it. Let's see. Damn, you cut out when you were answering. I get the point though. Is it redundant to let the customer know that the driver is on the way? No. The app notifies, but the app is communication is dry. It's just saying your driver's on the way. If you personally reach out, say, hey, my name is such and such. I'm your Uber Eats driver. I'm letting you know that I'm on my way. Thank you for ordering from Uber Eats, something like that. It makes you stand out from the crowd, because most Uber Eats drivers, they're not going to do that. So I wouldn't say it's redundant, because they already know that notification is just an automatic thing by the app. But if you personally reach out to them, it makes you kind of stand out from the crowd and makes you seem pretty professional, pretty diplomatic. So that can actually encourage your tips. So I would say do it. Just to confirm the order, a few days ago, I had an order, but the customer made a change to it. The restaurant got the update, but I didn't. All I could do was tell the restaurant to go off of what the restaurant had. Okay, Neo, that's when something like that happens, because I've encountered a similar situation. Most likely, the restaurant will have to remake the order. And you have two options. You can call support or you can cancel. Truthfully be told, I'd be more biased towards the latter, because you have to wait there and Uber's not going to pay for that wait time in a realistic way like they used to. So it's one of those things where you're not going to get anything in addition to dealing with that situation. So it's kind of like, well, maybe you should just bounce, because it's just going to re-ping that order to another driver, and the other driver is going to have the updated order. So you're doing extra work for no compensation. I would just cancel. Lucky for me, they didn't have to remake anything. Hey, lucky you. I will admit that's one of the things I love about Uber Eats. On Uber Eats, any fault in the restaurant, like when the customer is rating a restaurant and you are separate, so that's a completely restaurant issue. So if something was missing, they can report it on the restaurant. Case in point, this is why the first advice I'm going to give in the Uber Eats advanced course is if you haven't used Uber Eats as a service, you need to order it yourself. I mean, you can write it off as a business expense or just so you can know the industry, or you can get your first delivery free if you go to the Uber Lifestyle and click on free delivery, but just experience it yourself. Because I've had a restaurant, I ordered a tofu rice dish, and they forgot, they usually send the rice, the tofu, and the vegetables all separately, and then you mix it how you want. They forgot to give me my rice. It's like, what the hell? So I got on the customer app and basically said they forgot to give me my rice, and Uber said we can give you a refund or we can resubmit the order. They resubmitted the order, and then the new one came with the rice and everything, but the restaurant is the one that got flagged for it, not my driver. Let's see. People tip more when you smile and deliver their food on time. Intellectual thinker. I would say that's a great summary of how to, if you're not doing those two things, that alone will increase your tips. Now I'm gonna say this, I've said this before, I'll say it again, because I'm a pretty frequent Uber Eats customer myself. I might order like once every week, maybe every 2 weeks sometimes. But some people deliver the food and they're bored as hell. You can tell they don't have any energy in their voice, and it's like you're not even really soliciting a tip. Meanwhile, if you do what you just said, intellectual thinker, it makes a person feel good, and a person tips when they feel good. Few people tip just for the sake of tipping. Now that's a shame, but it's all on how they feel. So you got 10 seconds to make them feel good, and one of the lowest efforts to make them feel good is just to smile. See. And to be fair, that's something I had to work on myself. Sometimes you'll get in the groove and you just kind of going, and you get in that mode with like straight up soldier mode, and you might forget to smile. You gotta keep reminding yourself that, hey, smile. Let's see. I've had to cancel some orders because of a long wait time. I had no regrets about it, only because I too feel that they aren't paying for wait time. You know, yeah, in reality, they're really not. Reason being is you should be making more money if they're paying for wait time. But instead, what they did was say that, hey, we're paying you for wait time now, so we don't have to pay that wait time fee anymore. That's gone. At the same time, lowering the pickup, drop off, and distance rate. To me, it all comes out to making around the same money. That's the equivalent of not paying for time. So that's why you can't feel bad about bouncing on these restaurants. And if they do it too often, you need to put them on a do not do business list or put them in a timeout or something. Let's see. And just being honest, these restaurants, this is extra work for them. This is extra money for them. If they can't handle it, they shouldn't be on these apps. Just keeping it 100. I mean, waiting was never part of the game plan and when in the Uber Eats construction. You get there and just pick up the food. That's why it's an automatic pickup. You don't place the order. Is the customer aware that they have to rate the driver in order to tip them, though? As they do, they know they have the option to tip before having to rate the driver. Omnicrow. Yeah, I know new people probably don't know. That's not their first thought. Now, people who've used the service, they know how to tip. It's just the fact that if they're going to do it or not. New people, customers, they probably don't know because it's not that intuitive. And like you said, the tipping platform is kind of hidden. But that's why I take it upon myself to educate. Now, if a person doesn't ask, like, is it handled electronically, etc., I can tell when someone is new to using Uber Eats. I act very polite and say, well, let me guess, is this your first time using Uber Eats? You know, he or she says, oh, yeah. Then I tell them I'm an Uber Eats customer myself, and I tell them the good experiences that I've had, and I tell them how I rate the people that how I rate my driver and tip them. And they're like, oh, I didn't know you had to rate. But you got to take that approach, though. But you got to be polite about it. Like, you can't be like just in their face with it. You got to be diplomatic. They kind of got to like talking to you. And then you talk about that. And you just kind of educate them. So like when you do that, it's different from like sending it in a message, because a message comes off very off-putting. Like, this dude just asking for a tip. But if you take a moment and talk to them, explain that you're an Uber Eats customer yourself, because a lot of Uber Eats drivers have never tried the service. So you already have something to relate to. And then you can briefly tell them how that works. And you don't think that they're not going to tip you? Maybe 10% of people won't. But even if they don't, at least going forward, they do know. So the next time they order, it's an option. Let's see. I had to work on that too. Intellectual thinker. Oh, yeah, the smiling component. I mean, sometimes we'll enter work mode. And when you're in work mode, the smile will gradually start to go away. You just got to remind yourself to keep smiling. One of the benefits of delivery is you can turn on some music that'll bring that joyful energy back up if you need to. So don't hesitate to do that. I hate when the customer doesn't include all the information for apartments. I'll order from the app with all the information included: apartment name, gate code, building, and any special instructions on how to get to my apartment. Same here, Neil. And this is why that feedback, there is the great side of that new Uber app. You can leave feedback. Anytime any speck of information is not in there, leave it as feedback. Like, I have these, especially apartments, I have these like saved in my phone. All I gotta do is copy and paste it, so it doesn't take that long. Anytime they're in an apartment, I need a few things. What is the name of the apartments? What is the gate code if there is one? And if it is a maze-like apartment, what are some basic directions? Apartments, I should be able to find it in 90 seconds. If I can't find it in 90 seconds, I'm leaving feedback saying apartment complex was confusing, directions are needed. That feedback is a powerful tool. Now, I would more or less beg drivers to really start using it. I know we get in the workflow of moving, but just use it and we can educate these customers. I guess that's what I was going for with the message. I'm not necessarily asking for a tip in the message, but it does come off as implying to tip. Yeah, like no one wants to feel like they have to tip. And that's one of the things that got like the cabbie industry in trouble. You had like cabbies, they would get to the location and then they would put their hand out like this, like saying, "So where's my tip?" People don't like to feel that way. So anytime you indirectly kind of imply like, "Hey, you need to tip me," it really can have the opposite effect. And then they may even ding you for professionalism and satisfaction. So that's why I don't encourage it. Last night, I went to a restaurant and I waited more than 5 minutes. So I rated the restaurant as professional, but I waited more 5 minutes. Intellectual thinker. The owner told me that he had other orders in front of the Uber Eats order, so I had to wait. I understood his point of view. He does have a point of view, intellectual thinker, but at the same time, these apps are extra money for you. If you cannot handle it, you need to get off of it. That's the mentality I have with these restaurants. But my threshold myself is 5 minutes. I will wait 5 minutes because sometimes I think you should give a restaurant an extra 5 minutes. But after that, if it's not ready, I'm leaving. Well, I'll wait 5 minutes for restaurants that they normally have their stuff together. But if the restaurant is habitually having you wait, I won't even go there. And if I do decide to try it out and they say it's not ready, I'll just leave there. What is your experience with customers calling you en route to change delivery location? Ricky Grand. I've had that happen a few times. Stuff like this is not appropriate to cover in the Uber Eats course, but I will make a playlist that's called like miscellaneous. I'll call it the what if scenarios of Uber Eats. I'll pull over and I will say, they'll give me the address. I will say, Thank you, sir, ma'am. Can you please text me that information? And I won't move to the text it. Now, the text is important. Uber is keeping track of your text messages. So when they text it, use this wording. Can you text me that information telling me in the message where to go or bring it to? So the message saying, hey, can you bring it to such and such? Then you put the address in your GPS. How far is it? If it's not that far away from the original spot, like if it's under a mile, whatever, go ahead and do it. But that's what I do. If it's like 4 or 5 miles away, I will still do it. But right afterwards, I'm getting in touch with Uber support, telling them that the customer put in the wrong address. They had me bring it here. I need my fare adjusted, and Ubereats will adjust it. Now, if for some reason you don't want to go across town, you can actually call support and they'll cancel, and like nothing will happen. Because I've had a friend that she's in the Plano area, and she had a order that was going to like North Dallas, but they had moved to Plano, and that's, for those y'all don't know the DFW, the difference between Dallas and Plano is like 10 miles. So she called support and told me I can't take the Plano, so no problem, we'll cancel it and just send another order and do whatever you want with the food. So that's how you handle situations like that. But it all starts if you want to do it. If you don't want to do it and it's kind of far away, then don't. But realize that Uber will reimburse you for it as long as you handle it like that. Now, if you don't handle it like that, Uber is just going to pay you for the route of the address that was entered. So you got to reach out to support and tell them that your fare needs adjusting. Let's see. Intellectual thinker. I called the customer to inform them of the wait. Let's see. Call from McDonald's. Omnicro. Intellectual thinker. You're right. After 5 minutes, I have to go. Yep. The issue with Ubereats is you can't really contact the customer unless they changed in a new app. I don't think they did, but you can't contact them until you start the trip. So you could start the trip and then let the customer know that there's a wait, and that'll probably be thank you, and they won't get mad at you for it because you're explaining it's the restaurant. But the thing is, you're kind of, I don't want to say stuck with doing it because you could still cancel, but it's just kind of frowned upon at that point. When you don't start the trip, at any point you can just cancel. It's like simple. Let's see, I got $14 from a McDonald's order the other night. McDonald's is the worst. Omnicro, 2 miles away. I'm assuming that had to be a tip or it had to be a 1.7 boost because that's pretty unusual for a McDonald's. Unless you're in Canada, because there's a currency difference, so it might be different. Let's see, $4 tip. Okay. No problem, Ricky. Yeah, I do need to make a what if scenario playlist for Ubereats because this is stuff that I discovered by being in the situation. So it'd be better if anyone who's new, they just kind of know that before going into it. Omnicro, I just don't get it. Technically 32 minutes. I think it was because I marked the order not ready. Otherwise, it might not have registered that I was at the restaurant. I'm not sure. Omnicro, what marking it not ready does, if you're looking at the tablet, sometimes you can't see the tablet on the restaurant's end, but their tablet. If you look at the tablet, when you click not ready, it marks your driver, it marks you as being there on their tablet. That's all saying it's not ready does. Now I press it anytime it's not ready, but I have a protocol with McDonald's. When I'm 2 minutes away, I press that button. You know why? Because someone on there might see it, then they might start getting it ready thinking that I'm sitting down somewhere else waiting. And that way there's a chance that they could be ready when I get there. Because we know McDonald's is notorious for when you get there, they start making the stuff, which is why I don't care much for them. I get to their fast food, but that's no bueno for me. That stuff needs to be ready or in the process of almost being ready by the time I get there. Let's see. How much do you reach? How do you reach support from the app when you have a problem? You go to report an issue, and then it's going to have an option to call support. Now there are three dots in the right next to the person's name and order number. There's going to be three dots. Okay, you click that, and then it's going to have an option to report issue. When you press report issue, it has an option to call support. Then you call support. But Donald, everything we're talking about, these are rare occasions. They don't happen like every day. But you will need to know how to handle them when they do happen. I have the Uber customer service number saved in my phone. You can take Neo's approach. Like if you wanted to, you'll have to do your first delivery to get the support number, but it's gonna pull up in your contacts. You could just save the number. And Neo is a step ahead of me, as I keep saying I'm going to do it and I don't. But just having it on speed dial definitely isn't a bad idea. OmniCrow was 1.8. I think it was the wait time for marking the order not ready. Well, I mean, the longer the delivery takes, the more wait time you are going to get. But it being a 1.8, 2 miles, and a $4 tip, that does sound like it should be around $14. It sounds around what it would be. Because that 1.8, anything above a 1.5, you kind of don't need that much distance to make some good grip. So if it's 1.8, it doesn't surprise me at all. But regardless, I definitely think that you should hit order not ready when it's not ready. You're lucky to get anything over $5 from McDonald's. That's what I'm saying, like what Neo said. But at McDonald's on a 1.8 and they tipped, I could see it being $14. Like that's usually how it goes if you do it overnight, or if you do it like between 10 and midnight. Usually the boost zones would go pretty high because they know people aren't going to be working. Then the fleet is going to drop off, so they're trying to keep people around with these high boosts. Yeah, generally a McDonald's order will yield $5 without tip. Yeah, that's sounds about right. Intellectual thinker, do you make more money driving in the morning or nighttime? I made more money working at night until 1 a.m. Well, when it comes to a strict like whole overnight shift, I don't really do Ubereats because it could be a personal thing. Because back when I was in the job industry, I used to be a process assistant for Amazon. I worked overnight, and that stuff was murder on my body. So I kind of see it as going backwards. But I will say generally you will make more overnight. One of my friends, he makes like $20 an hour doing it overnight because the boosts are going to be higher and there's no traffic. So you could, on the weekend when, I don't know, people were hitting that blunt and they got the munchies and whatever, McDonald's or whatever it is. So you could slide like maybe 4 deliveries in like an hour because you go there, you pick up the food, and then it's a 1.7 or a 1.8, so that's already pretty nice. Like, even without tips, you can make like $20 because that 1.7, 1.8, they don't have to go that far. Make like $6 or $7, and you get 3 or 4 of them in an hour, which you can do because there's not much traffic. So I would say overnight, there's definitely more potential to make money. I would say in general, but especially over the morning. It depends on when the order was made, apparently, OmniCrow. Intellectual thinker, that's blunt. Sometimes, well, I've had experiences where out of McDonald's, but when a person opens the door, you can tell they've been in there smoking that blunt all day. So I've seen it a few times, so I'm not saying that's the case every time, but who the hell is going to order McDonald's in the middle of the night? I mean, come on. There's a certain crowd that sounds more appealing than others. Have you heard or experienced any fraud with customers telling Uber you didn't deliver when you actually did? Yes, Ricky, I have. We kind of talked about it in the last Q&A, but it'll have this. It'll say that your fare has been adjusted, and they'll say what it was, and then it says 00, and then they say that you didn't deliver it. When it happened to me, now if you fight them back, they'll give you your money, but you have to fight them back. In my case, this was back when the wait time fees were still being paid. They accidentally paid me an extra wait time fee by accident, and the order that it happened to me on was about $4 or something. I still got around the same money, so I didn't pursue it any further. But if that wasn't the case, I was about to hit on them hard because I don't play that. Like at the end of the day, the footage is on my dash cam, and I keep track of all my miles with Stride app. And like, I got everything to prove it, and I'll go so far as to say, you're gonna give me my money, or you're gonna face legal action. When you come at them like that, they're gonna give you your money. Now, in the future, they just need to take that off. Period. Like, I'd rather this not happen, but if people had to start signing off on your phone just to confirm that they got the order, we can take it that far. Because I don't like these cheap-ass customers thinking that they can get a free meal out. And truth be told, I don't think any of the other apps handle it like that. I know Postmates doesn't. I think Postmates will kind of get in contact with you and like try and confirm some things. But they don't just straight up say, oh, you didn't deliver it, we're taking the money. No, you don't do that. And they need to cut that stuff out right now. Because that can get them some serious legal problems. Especially for someone that wants to take it far. See. It was Saturday after 12 a.m. They raised a late night boost because there's no restaurants available on the Crow. During the day, my area gets 1.1, 1.2. Like during the morning and during the lunch rush, the boosts are usually kind of the lowest they're going to be. Dinner rush, usually it may increase. And overnight, over the weekends, especially, that's when you usually see those like high boosts. It's all based on activity and the fleet. And what day it is too. Like in the beginning of the week, it's going to be slower. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, man, those days are like heavy. And Monday and Tuesday can be kind of slow. Wednesday, I'll start to pick up slightly. And that's actually something I'll be covering in the Ubereats Advanced course. But there's a time to drive, but there are also certain days that will yield better results than others. Let's see. Neo, you can smell it. The later the evening, the more likely it's a blunt smoke or college kid for a McDonald's order. I say that's pretty accurate, Neo. I'm not going to ignore that. I mean, you do whatever you want, but that's just the case. Let's see. What's the boosting? Omnicrow, 10% is pretty low. To me, 10% is the equivalent of not having a boost. Truth be told, because 10%, you got to look at your per mile rate, but it's just 10% of that added. It's almost like you're not getting a boost as far as I'm concerned. Like, unless it's 1.2 or above, I don't really consider it a boost. What was it? I think some time ago, I got an order. It took me 9 miles away. And I think the boost is a 1.1. And I looked at how much the boost was. It's like 90 cents. I'm like, really? Let's see. Omnicrow, I get a lot of tips from McDonald's orders for some reason. Well, I don't know what crowd that you're serving Omnicrow, but shoot, I would like to know. Most of the time, I'll get that later. But most of the time, it's pretty low. Yeah, hold on a sec. My apologies for that. But generally, McDonald's don't tip in my area. That's why I'm already kind of on the fence about even doing them. Say 20% seems like it should be the bare minimum. I agree, Omnicrow. I don't see any real point of doing a 1.1. Like, to me, it's just the equivalent of not even having a boost. But they seem to think it's, well, maybe it'll still entice people slightly to come to this area. To me, it has no effect at all. Speaking of boosts, have y'all noticed an increase in boosts lately? Now, part of that is the time of the year, but I mean just like in general. Like your area used to offer like a 1.5 generally, and now you see it's increased to like 1.7. OmniCrow, exactly. I don't see why anyone would drive during the day. It can be broken up into two sections. Well, into multiple sections. There's breakfast, then there's lunch rush, then there's the dinner rush, and then there's the overnight. I would say the morning rush is definitely the one with the least activity. The lunch rush now, it's going to vary because lately the lunch rush for my area, they've been offering some pretty good boosts because a lot of people started dropping off the lunch rush saying, look, man, it's just not worth it. Based on activity, whatever reason, some people have been saying it's not worth it, so they don't do it during the day. And that's leaving orders floating out there, too long. So their response is they started offering some pretty good boosts like during lunchtime. Like it was just yesterday. You got to remember, I'm a dual platformer, so I'm not going to get the same boost. Usually they're lower, if anything. And I haven't got any boosts in a while for Ubereats. They've been on Ubereats. My friend, one of my friends, he had a 2.0 boost for lunchtime. And it was in a few areas too. So it's like, clearly they know that lunchtime is getting neglected, so they got to put more budget in the lunchtime. Like when they do stuff like that, that's when it's worth it. Let's see. Neo, McDonald's doesn't tip in my area either. I think that's the general consensus. Like, I think his situation is very unique. For the most part, people say that McDonald's doesn't tip. Plus, you got to realize that they're ordering the cheapest thing on the menu when it comes to Uber Eats. So they're ordering the cheapest thing, you're probably not going to tip. IHOP orders. Neo, what's your experience with the IHOP orders? Donald, does Boost only show up on the map once you hit go? No, you can see the Boost on at any time. Now, Donald, if you just got approved to drive, and I'm going to make a video on this explaining this, but if you just got approved to drive, you're not going to see any boosts until maybe a few days later. Because like the algorithm that disperse like boosts out, it gets sent out like Thursdays and Mondays. So let's say you started on Friday, you're not going to see any boosts until Monday because you'll be configured in that algorithm there. So if you don't see any boosts, that's the reason. So there's no need to like freak out. They're coming. But that's the reason why you don't see them yet. OmniCrow, I did a $12 minimum order the other night. That was 10 minutes away and the restaurant was closed. I called Uber support and spent 20 minutes on the phone with them and they paid me $1. OmniCrow. It's those type of situations. I'm trying to think of like how could that situation been handled differently. You know what? If it's overnight, it makes it more complicated, but you could actually just call the restaurant. If there's no answer, then call support. Say, hey, the restaurant isn't answered, then they call, then they're answering, then they'll cancel it. But you didn't have to go there. But that's some crap. Oh, man. OmniCrow, that is, you got to realize that's not going to happen every day. But when it does happen, man, that's unacceptable. They got to fix that. Neo, where I live, I get some IHOP orders in the morning from 9 to 11, mainly on Fridays and Saturdays. Yep, people got the munchies for breakfast food on the weekends. Yeah, IHOP can actually be a pretty good source of activity early in the mornings, like you mentioned, especially on the weekends. It couldn't hurt to find an IHOP and set up shop there. Not there directly because you want the algorithm to work for you, but like a mile or two away from IHOP. Wow. I didn't want my cancellation rates to be increased. They did call and such. They had no idea the restaurant was closed, which was why the minimum earning was $12. Omnicor, I will say this. I am kind of skeptical of those minimum orders because what you just mentioned, like those minimum orders, they can kind of be a filter in a good way. So like when I see one and it's late at night, I've kind of made it a protocol to call a restaurant just to confirm. Like I'm polite, like, hey, I'm your Uber Eats driver. I'm heading to pick the order up. Just confirm that you're still open. And those minimum orders, I gotta admit, I am skeptical of them because I'm skeptical of them anyway because the order's been floating out there for we don't know how long. So you can get to the restaurant and the customer's tired of waiting, they just cancel. I couldn't even blame them. We don't know how long it's been waiting out there. So I got protocols when it comes to the minimum orders. I don't take one any further than 2 miles away, 3 miles at the most. Because if it's taking too long to get to the restaurant, there's a good chance that the customer will actually cancel. Then you drove that way for no reason. Carter films, I've only gotten one. They're not supposed to be common. It's basically when drivers are ignoring that request, they don't want it. So the request has been floating out there for so long, it triggers a minimum guarantee to be put on it. So like in most cases, I see that you'll get between 50 cents to $3 on the minimum guarantee. But the advantage of it is the minimum guarantee kind of based on how much you're going to make, you can kind of figure out how far it's going to go. After doing Uber Eats for a while, you're going to get a feel of how much you get paid doing 6 miles, how much you get paid doing 3 miles, how much you get paid doing 9 miles, etc. So when you see this minimum guarantee for $12, you kind of do the math. Okay, well, I would have made maybe $10 or $9 normally. So that means they're probably going to go 8 or 9 miles away. Now, do you want a long trip? If you do, go for it. If you don't, ignore it. It can be a filter. I like that about it. Let's see. Intellectual thinker. It was nice chatting with you guys. I've finished my Uber Eats run. Enjoy your day, everyone. Appreciate you joining us. You brought up some good questions, and look forward to the advanced Uber Eats course. Let's see. I've gotten an $8 minimum order. Yeah. I would say that's the biggest advantage of that minimum order. It's a filter. You know what you're taking then. You know how far it basically is going to go. All right. We at the hour mark, we'll go ahead and hang it up, but we got 7 more minutes. So just bringing it back home because, yeah, you're worth it most of the time, I would say. Oh, they're worth it most of the time, the minimum guarantees. Yeah, but late night can be an issue, apparently. The funny thing is the majority of them are going to come late night because there's less carrier get slapped on there. Omnicro, one thing that can help with that, you'll get familiar with your restaurants in your area overnight eventually. You'll kind of get a feel for like their hours of operation. Now you will have that occasion, like if the restaurant was closed for reasons that they didn't plan on being closed, it is what it is. But yeah, you'll get a general feel of like, and what's your closing time? So that's something to kind of keep a mental note of. Yeah, but circling it back around, is there any additional information y'all want covered in the Uber Eats advanced course? But yeah, they were closed when they were supposed to be open. Yeah, that's one of those situations. I mean, stuff like that, there's a chance that will happen in this industry just because it'll happen. I mean, the chance of it is very, very, very low, but stuff happens. What I will say is Uber did a poor job handling it. Omnicro, you should have been paid for that order. At minimum, you should be paid for the original order. Maybe not the full minimum guarantee, but at minimum the original order they were supposed to be. They gotta straighten that out because that's not acceptable. Oh man. Yeah. And there's not much more I can say about that. They just need to handle it differently. At least $6, Carter Films. Right. And you drove there and you were on hold for 20 minutes. That's, oh man. That actually, I wasn't even involved in the situation, and it's pissing me off. But I guess it's better they learn their lesson sooner than later. Has anyone else had any issues with support when it falls in that category? How long should you wait for support while on hold? Me, usually I get a person within a minute or two. Now, Ricky, do you mean like getting someone on the phone or when they put you on hold? Do you mean when they put you on hold? Anyone having trouble with the new app? Yes, they're like robots. I wait 5 minutes. I think robots is an accurate description. Carter Films, issues with the new app. This is a reoccurring issue. I think other people are experiencing it. The app navigation, if you're using a separate app like Waze, the Uber navigation, it will freeze and it will keep you in one spot, and it will be like that until you restart your phone, or really until you restart your phone. I'm experiencing that, and a lot of other people are experiencing that too. Now, I'm using Waze, so it's not that big a deal, but a lot of times I'll switch back to the Uber app just to see what side of the street it's on. And the fact that I can't do that is kind of annoying. Ricky, it's just getting someone. Well, I've never had a case where it was an issue, but I would say I wouldn't wait any longer than 3 minutes. Like, any longer than 3 minutes, and I'll just cancel the order. Like, even if I've canceled a lot of orders that day, I'll just take one for the team. Time is money. Now, if you have to call them afterwards, like after you pick the food up and they're taking forever, I would probably wait longer, but if the wait is just too long, I might just take one for the team and cancel that too. Well, during this scenario, it took a while to get support, and they put me on hold multiple times to call the restaurant to see how much my compensation would be. So out of no worries, I'll just cancel it in the future. I'll call them back to cancel, but make it quick. Yeah, I mean, this experience has kind of taught you that, well, y'all aren't gonna have my back if I spend too much time with y'all, so we gotta bring this to a conclusion relatively quickly. You can do that. I've had experiences with support where I've had to do this. I was picking up at this restaurant, and this employee was new, so maybe she didn't know how to work the Ubereats tablet. But she said the Ubereats tablet, it only said they had a drink. It didn't say what it was. She handed me the cup. I was like, so is it a Dr. Pepper, Coke, Mountain Dew? She had said it was a drink. I was like, what am I supposed to do with that? I said, well, I'll call support. And I called support, and they dug through it, and they said that, oh, it's a red Coke. He said, I'm going to put you on hold, just confirm it with the customers. Okay, if I put you on hold, I said, no, it's not. You just told me what the drink is. I'll go ahead and move forward with the order. I'm not about to sit here for 3 or 5 minutes for no reason just to confirm what's in your system. So you got to be looking out for your time with these guys, because they're not going to compensate you for it, apparently. Let's see. Carter Films, I'm having the funds updating error. Carter Films, how long does it take for them to get on their stuff with that? Because I've noticed a lag too. Like maybe 30 minutes after you complete the delivery, it'll appear. Do you think they read comments, Ricky? When you say comments, do you mean like, do the customers read like feedback, or who's reading the comments? Carter Films, oh, that happened to me yesterday at a Chinese place. Sometimes it just says drink. About 30 minutes to an HR. I don't know if it's a problem with the restaurants or Uber system, but that's how I personally handled it. I mean, I just call and get the information I need, then I get off the phone. Now, that process in itself doesn't usually take that long, but don't let them put you on hold talking about we're going to confirm it with the customer. Look, get your system straight, or if you want me to hang around, you're going to have to pay me for that wait time. And until you do so, that's not going to work on me. So I would advise y'all to do the same thing. Ricky, support. That's the So when you say comments, do you mean like in-app messaging, or you mean like that survey where they're talking about did they solve your issue or something like that? Resolving issues. Well, they have the feedback thing in place. Whether they listen to it or not, I don't know. I would say that they probably do. And when the issue is too reoccurring, they'll do something about it. I mean, all companies have like that, a general feedback thing set up. If they don't, there's a problem. But when it pisses too many people off is when they're going to take action. But just like one person or occasional person, in their mind, it's not that big a deal. But if everyone in this Q&A and like everyone on these YouTube channels were talking about this issue and then they're getting it every day, they would kind of be forced to. Does that make sense, Ricky? And that's not just Uber. That's these corporations in general. There's very few corporations I've really seen like just take like that feedback so critical. And like the moment you put it, it's resolved in like a week. I rarely see that. Yeah. All right. Looks like we're past the hour mark. So we're going to go ahead and cut it off here. I'd like to thank y'all for attending the monthly Ubereats Q&A. Apologies for what happened with for whatever reason it was reconnecting and I was frozen, but hey, what you gonna do? But if you haven't done so, be sure to visit www.theuberlifestyle.com and check out any information that can help you, with your progress with Ubereats. And be looking out for the advanced Ubereats course towards the middle to end of November. That's when you'll start seeing the first part get launched. So y'all have a fun Ubereats run. Have a great week. Finish the rest of your day out. I'll catch y'all later.